Going live with Kat Cole from Jewelry Edition. How's it going? Welcome, welcome. Cheers, cheers. Ooh, here we go. I was just giving a talk for Jewelry Week. Hi. What's up? I know, right? I can't wait to see Kat's jewelry too. Ooh. What's up, my pretty? You look great. How's it going? Beautiful earrings already.
I don't know the last time I actually put on a pair of big earrings. It's nice to feel a little bit more like myself again. This whole COVID 2020 thing has really killed my earring game, I have to tell you.
I know. Well, let's get into it because I feel like it's time. I feel like earrings are like the best way to dress up right now.
Yes, I think it's kind of the main. You can wear the statement necklace on a Zoom meeting, but I feel like earrings tend to be like the appropriate amount of like excited to be seen look these days. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Hair looks all cute.
I dressed up for Megan. You were looking very fine yourself. You were like the Instagram live pro over here.
Like it's good. It's nice. This is the best way to connect right now. This is the way to show people what we're doing. Keep it back. You have like a brand new studio.
I do.
A new baby. Mom, like a lot, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of things going on in the Cole household these days, the new Cole household, and I am super excited to have gotten my studio put together and clean for you guys because I need a deadline. Like we all need a deadline these days. Like give me a reason to make the boxes disappear. Give me a reason to find a place to put my anvil that isn't on my bar because I do have the bar and it's amazing.
I'm super excited. I'm excited about all this because I haven't seen your newest work in a while. So this is going to be like such a great dive. And then I went on the Jewelry Edition website out. So I'm like, okay then.
Yes, it is all out in a way right now, living its best traveling life that the rest of us cannot enjoy. So it was just at the Baltimore Jewelry Center, and it's going to be heading over to Ombre in Cincinnati here Cincinnati here pretty soon. So we are really excited that the collection is back on the road, and yeah, it's been pretty great that Jewelry Edition as a project has continued to be like so busy despite the world not being busy for a little while. So
well, I would love to hear. Okay, I feel like we're going to talk about your work, but for like a minute, talk a little bit about your role with Jewelry Week or with Jewelry Edition. And sorry, I was just on with Jewelry.
Your head is like totally in the New York Jewelry Week scene. I know. I mean, like, speaking of great things that are coming up, that is another amazing thing coming up that I cannot wait to like soak in via the virtual world these days. But so Laura Wood and I, co-founders.
Yeah, you're doing a virtual with Ombre coming up too, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff. Okay, so yes, please go on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Well, so Laura and I, we've been working together for years. I mean, like Jewelry Edition, we've been together as a professional team for like almost 7 years now, which is like, and we have, I know, right? That's a long relationship.
That's like, you made it over the 5 year. The 5 year mark is kind of a big one, I think.
It is. And with Jewelry Edition Volume 5, like adapting and coming over the hurdles of all of the things that have happened this year in terms of like just all of us in the field rearranging our lives and our professions and how things work. It's been really wonderful to kind of watch the dynamic elasticity, I guess I would call it, of this project, like accommodate and survive through what feels like a pretty crazy dumpster fire of a year. So yeah.
Huge changes for both of you also as founders. Like both of you have moved this year.
Yes.
Adapted, and I think I think you're doing a great job with virtual, and also doing um, the collaboration with Artful Home. I thought that was really cool.
So cool. It was such a treat to work with them, and it was amazing to get our artists on such this like megaphone kind of platform of Artful Home and really allow such a huge audience of craft appreciators to see the artist's work and to see the project and, you know, hopefully like come into the fold in the future with like later editions and stuff like that. So yeah, it was such a pretty momentous moment, I think, for Laura and I to like have such a great collaboration come off so well. So we were both tickled pink by how it all worked out. So and yeah, it has been such a wonderful thing to have you be so generous as our Instagram Live host for all of these studio artist visits. I am super happy to be pulling up the rear. Laura and I both pulling up the rear in terms of, you know, having this conversation, but it's been so wonderful to kind of see you talk to the other artists.
This for me, I followed you guys for a long time. I have shopped with you guys for a long time at different events that you've had throughout the years, you know, Snag, etc. So this for me, like, I've already was pre-shopping when you first launched it, and then we just kind of organically evolved this. We were doing lives with Laura, and then this, and then I'm like, ooh, I like this. Talk to these artists. Yeah, I would love to see. I will talk to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, you are fantastic for this position. I hire you all the time, Megan. You are amazing. You are such a great host at the Instagram Lives. And as a novice Instagram Liver, I appreciate you taking this on. So.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I'm so excited for you to be here, like to show everybody this. I didn't know you were a novice. I'm like, but I think this is great. This is perfect. Oh, you're so sweet. But I'm excited for you to show us a bunch of work.
Yeah, so I you know, I have not been super active in the studio because my studio, like I said, has not existed in any sort of functional way until like yesterday, actually. That's when I finally like plugged in my kiln and my drill press, and I was like, okay, well, technically this space could work. And so I've kind of been on studio hiatus for the last, I think it's probably going on 6 months because of a move from Dallas, Texas to Columbus, Georgia, which is where my family is. And we have a lovely new house that I did a kitchen renovation on just like really quick. And so finally my studio has gotten the attention and yeah, so should I start off by giving you the grand old tour?
Yes, I want to see everything, and then we're gonna try on so much stuff. I'm super excited, and I want to also hear a little bit at the end, a little bit about your plans for the future with what's going to happen. Okay, take us on a tour.
Okay.
Kiln and the drill. These were the number one things for the studio to be complete. For me, that was big things.
Yeah. What is your favorite tool, Megan?
Mine are pliers. Have pliers out, and I have a whole specialty ruler taped down desk with special like magnet ruler. So all my magnets stick to my table.
Ooh, that I'll have to see that at some point. That sounds magnificent. Also, I'm totally envious of all of the makers out there that have the capacity in their studio practice to, whether it's like pick up a needle and thread or pick up their pliers or like take their practice with them. And unfortunately, what I do is very, very equipment heavy. And also, I have to say, the people that moved my studio would agree that it is all very, very heavy. So anyways, here, I'm gonna start at the beginning, coming in. So when we got this house, we realized there was a wonderful above the garage studio space for me, but it was a swanky 70s hangout bachelor pad before I renovated it. Like, it has a bar and a grill in the studio. So I'm going to switch my camera around and I'm going to give you like the full view of the situation going on here.
Especially the Oh, ooh. Oh,
So you come up the stairs, the dark wood paneling stairs into, I've like had to add a lot of white walls to tone down the wood paneling, but I have this lovely bar here with vintage bar stools that came with it. And I have, in fact, swinging doors to
oh,
take me into my grill
like
space.
balloon, like you're like saddle on up. You know what I mean?
That is, yes, yes, it is totally saddle on up, like 70s cowboy swinger, like hangout space. So, you know, you've got these great decorative lights. I have what happens to be an industrial restaurant grade ventilation hood, which is epic. Epic. And the reason for it is this is actually a like a full-on grill make your steaks kind of thing underneath my kiln. So yeah, it's crazy. But look at that beautiful mustard yellow curve right there. That I fell in love. I totally fell in love.
Yeah.
And so everything else has kind of been made into some more functional space, and I'll have some office here, and this is like what we all know as the studio functional space. So that is my little tour
Oh, it's
of this funky little space.
wait. What do you anticipate? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna lay upon that? Like,
You know, that's the hardest part actually, because I feel like there's a lot of pressure when you have this big swooping bar in the middle of your studio. Like, you've got to put really good stuff on it. So I've got to make some really good stuff.
I think you're fast. Don't worry.
Or, or I just have all of you guys over when this is all said and done, and we just have cocktails in the studio once we're done playing.
Oh,
I could go either way. I think it's a super functional option in every studio. Everybody should probably find a bar space and deck it out. So, you know.
I like that the hood actually works so well for your kiln. So explain a little bit your process because you have drill press, enamel kiln, you have this area. Like, what do you have different areas set up? How do you do this? What's each piece? What process does each piece go through?
Well, so I would say that I generally call myself an enamelist because that is what I do most of the time and that's what I actually find the most interesting in the number of techniques that I do. I do a lot of forming in terms of like sawing things up and hand skills and things you do at your bench, and soldering together using silver solder and traditional jewelry metalsmithing techniques, and I do them with steel. And then I slather enamel all over them and stick them in my juicy hot kiln, and I enamel them. And so a lot of the enamels that I use are what would be called industrial enamels, porcelain enamels. So it's actually a little bit of a different material than what jewelers sifted enamels, what most people are familiar with.
Interesting, because to adhere to the steel or because you want certain colors?
Well, both. It adheres. It loves the steel. It's a material. It's an enamel made to go onto steel, but also it has the opportunity for things like mark making. Like here's a production style earring that I do pretty often. You can see it's got a post and a little bit of scribbling on the back, and so this is just steel with one layer of liquid enamel on the surface, and I've scratched into it. So I've gone in with an X-Acto knife and kind of carved into the enamel, and then I fire it. It's kind of the same thing that's going on with my earring here, is that like the enamel kind of can go on in a very painterly fashion.
Ooh.
So you can see here that it's kind of got a liquidy quality to it that's not something you could get with just working with sifted enamels.
Okay.
So it kind of opens up possibilities, and working with steel means that my work can be big and giant and ridiculous on the body, but it's still very light and comfortable and actually very durable too. So there's a lot of added benefits.
Is the enamel actually more durable as well because it's more industrial? Does it change the actual? Okay, because I'm like, is the glass different in a way?
It's not that the glass is different, but if you think of like copper, once it goes through the enameling process, is very
Soft.
soft. It's very annealed. It's like at its, most
Like it like
flexible.
like
Right.
yeah.
Right. It likes to sag, and it can it doesn't necessarily hold shapes very well. But with the steel, I don't have that problem, and so I'm starting out with a really, really strong base.
Yes. I like that Laura brought up the reversible too because I know with your neck pieces we're gonna try some on, and I love that you posted that video about the hot pool with the red color change temperature. I'm like, this is very fun to watch.
Yeah, there is something kind of magical about enameling. I think the people that do it a lot, there is like this thing that you are always enamored with after years and years of working on steel and working with enamel. I still like pull something out of the kiln and I'm like, ooh. So
It's not.
obviously I'm in the right profession, I guess. Like
Yeah.
I guess that's at the end of the day. And I think that's what a lot of people find with enamel is there is that magical quality to it, the transformation that happens. And like so, and what Laura's talking about, it's like with a necklace like this guy that's like one of my like big bibs, as I call them.
Oh my God. Yes.
Because I do suppose if you were to like dribble some ketchup on here, again, because it's enamel, you can just like wipe it right off. Not that anybody's doing that with this jewelry, but I'm just saying, if you were.
Functional too, yes.
That's right, that's right. Functional too.
Very functional, on the TV.
Right, and so you can see on the back here, like this is, kind of the mechanism. So you can see I've got just these tiny jump rings all the way around. I'm trying to see, get it, like, there you go. So you can see I've just got this little bit of flexibility that happens all the way around that kind of makes for mobility with the pieces.
It's topographical, almost like plates of the earth, that move together a little bit. Do you solder that, or how would you form?
So,
okay, how would like that? Do you paint it on, or do you wait for it to burn a certain way so it melts a certain way, or?
It is, so when I'm starting out with a piece like this, I draw it flat, and then I saw out each individual piece, and then I flip it over, and each one of these tiny jump rings gets soldered on so that and so there's a little brass jump ring on either side so that I can solder it on, and then I usually put it together to make sure there's nothing that's going to get caught, and then I take it all apart again. And it needs to be sandblasted so the surface is toothy so it'll grip the enamel. And then that's when I enamel it. So it's all in pieces when I actually do the enameling. And so, and then at the end I put it all back together. So like this piece has got, that nice little juicy blob that is almost the identical color of my bar. And, a little bit of steel embedded in there too. I'm telling you, it was like meant to be for me to have this bar.
They're like, why? What was the choice for that? And they kind of look like the map. They look like the map. Do you think about? Am I?
Yes, you're totally on the right wavelength. Like a lot of these pieces, I actually start with maps and like county lines and boundary lines. And this work started when I was out in Texas, where there's just sort of the sense of sort of large angular shapes in most of the way that counties and cities and all that kind of stuff are structured out west. And so yeah, it started with maps and it's kind of morphed in something a little bit more sort of formal and abstract, and they're called boundary lines as the series that this flat style of necklace that I make is boundary lines. So you are spot on, Megan.
Oh, I love that. I feel like I that already, and I like subconsciously have read that somewhere. But also doing ones with like cutouts coming in. You had one with you have a lot. I'm also like you have a lot of these XO shapes and like the writing kind of.
Yeah, so I've got like this is another sort of production piece that are these are kind of, I've been making these for quite a few years now, and they're amazingly still wonderfully popular, and they give just a little bit of like feisty color to an outfit that I think people have gotten them in the reds and the yellows and the whites, and they have a tendency to multiply in your collection.
Oh, I love that though, because then you could, but they're like that perfect, that's like the perfect size. It also is not heavy. You're right. It's cute color post and it covers really nice.
Yes, yeah, it sits nice on the ear. It's got
Mm-hmm.
just the right amount of visual weight without it being like, hey guys, I'm making a statement here. It's
Because I
you
like,
can wear it up or down.
but I feel like that I feel like this has become a signature for you. One of those like very signature, you'll have this for 20 years in your collection.
Yeah.
Artist and a consumer, you know?
Yeah, something about the X, it just as a symbol generally, I think there's a lot of artists that are drawn to that sort of that symbol, and you see it interpreted in so many different ways, like the red cross, or X marks the spot, as in treasure found, or X marks the spot as in destination, or as a way of saying signature. So there's, it's this wonderfully versatile symbol that I've kind of adapted into different things, and as well as like, it's just like kind of a fun mark to make in the enamel. So
yeah, it's actually, it's a line, it's a simple line drawing in a lot of ways as well. And then you have the ovals because you're doing them filled in, like you XO, but you do a lot of these just simple ovals instead of like a hoop, almost like your hoop. Think of a little bit. You do them in multiple colors in these ovals, like X's and O's that are elongated.
yes. I'm trying to think. I don't have any of those out right now, but yes. And that's totally what I was thinking when I put that design together, was like, what's my version of a hoop that can like function in that sort of same graphic way without it being too fussy or too much, or getting into some technical areas that wouldn't work as well for the enamel. And so that sort of outline of an O really sort of works well for those earrings. And then, I've got pieces like this where this is what I call my folded pendant. You can see here, it's literally just like flat sheet that's been scored and folded and then enameled, and then it's on a sterling silver chain. But it gives me this wonderful canvas to be working with that scratching and that mark making sensibility that I really enjoy doing. So that's kind of one of the other, I think we have some of those in red on Jewelry Edition out in the world right now. So yeah.
The website now, so okay, you said they're out in the world. Are they on your website, Baltimore Jewelry Center, anymore, or where do people?
We are in transition right now, so our website is still not up and available with the work, just because it is going to be heading over to Ombre here really soon. So we've got to sort of like make that. It's still up on BJC. See, Laura knows these things. And so BJC still has their website up with the work on it. So
okay, cool. So I'll direct people there because I know there's a little bit more there. Some of those new things. Also, by the way, briefly talk about how cute that photo shoot was.
Although, what an amazing surprise! It was really sweet. Like when we did the Instagram live with the Baltimore Jewelry Center, like April basically just like casually mentioned, she's like, oh, we're gonna do a little photo shoot thing, and we've got some people coming in, and then and then the images started coming out, and they are just so wonderful and so of the moment. Like having these images, I mean, wearing the mask, taking the mask off, having the earring on, and the models that were showing some of my large necklaces is just like, oh, like so elegant and wonderful and just glorious.
Your red necklace on that black dress that has the ruching here with the sparkly. Okay, I was like, ooh, outfit super cute, a little bit disco-y, but like
Mm-hmm.
modern disco and not too sparkly. And then this extremely, your necklace is much, it fits, but it's different, right? And it fills
Yeah.
in beautifully, like it's part of the dress a little bit too, like another part of the ornamentation in a way.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
oh yeah, it
I
is.
thought she just did, and she modeled it beautifully. And yes, it just, those bib pieces, especially the red ones, I feel like are sort of the icon, one of the iconic things that I make. And then yes, it just like
All
set off.
yes. Okay, they had I like that they brought in fruit and it felt like really sensual also. And that the jewelry, they matched the jewelry so well in color schemes, but they did Laura brings up a good point. They had all genders
Yes,
reflected,
yes,
styled, like not crazy high fashion, really, but fashionable, but attainable. And
yes, very accessible. And yeah, I love
it's
that they showed how to style jewelry on men and on women and on a little bit more traditional and a little bit more yeah, like this is how a guy can wear a fantastic pair of earrings. Like if you needed an example, here we go. Like, it
oh,
was perfect. It was such a treat to have them put that out there for us.
oh,
And
I posted some earlier in stories and I was like, oh, these are just gorgeous. I looked through and I thought they just did, they took because you guys have reflected such an interesting curation of artists, but they really put it all together. I thought
yes.
they brought everything together really beautifully.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things Laura and I love about this project is that it provides opportunity for collaboration and sometimes in ways that we can't even anticipate or expect. And like people with, sometimes the galleries will take and install the work in a way that we would have never thought of. Or they do things and like with the photo shoot that it's just like, oh, like a wonderful reinterpretation of this collection that we're presenting. And I think that is probably for Laura and I one of the really great benefits of doing this project year after year is seeing how it changes and shifts and is adapted in new spaces and by new clientele. It's just it's a lot of fun that way.
Oh, thank you. Yes, please. If you remember, if you could tags. I know it was Be More Art. I think that's one of the things that's really cool about what you guys do because you do collaborate really beautifully with different spaces and galleries and events. And each time you do, because it travels, what you do travels. There's no actual physical space.
That's
So
right.
each time it moves to these different places, you have a little bit different, same artist, but a little bit different work because the work is very limited production.
Yes.
It's different each time it goes to the gallery because of things have sold organically along the way on its
Yeah.
path. And then each gallery kind of does its own thing in terms of display and how you present it. And I think that's really cool because it has. I've seen it in multiple places. I've seen it in Portland and in Asheville and and it's in Boston. I've seen it literally all these places.
Yeah. I mean, as a project, it is so well traveled at this point after this many iterations. It's amazing how many different places we've been at this point when Laura and I like added up. I think it's almost 30 something places over the last 5 years or the last five collections. And yeah, we love seeing the install pictures and we give really open-ended advice as to kind of like what we've done, what we feel works well, what we feel sort of highlights the work nicely, but then the gallerist or the space or whoever's doing the feature just like takes it and runs with it and adapts it to their own space in a way that we are just always, delighted and surprised with. And we always work with spaces that have a good eye for display and good sensibility around those things that really do it justice.
Yeah, I think there's a good alignment there. Totally. And you're also growing the spaces that you work with. It seems like you've that's adapted and you've had it's grown as well, which is cool.
Yeah, and I think that that's also one of the things in the when we talk about like or Laura and I start thinking about like what comes next and how does the project change. I mean, that's one of, like, when Laura and I talk about whatever the next volume is going to be, we are looking for ways to let it grow and change a little bit, because we want to keep ourselves interested and excited, and create new avenues for our artists and for our community. And so, you know, this jewelry edition in a lot of ways is a tool to create other types of conversation and change around contemporary jewelry, and about what does a gallery look like, and what does an exhibition look like. And, you know, we've shown $2,000 necklaces in plastic bags on the street of Yuma, Arizona. Like, you know, it has the potential to do all kinds of crazy things.
Oh, yeah, a lot of all over the place, and you've represented lots of different work, a lot of different artists. But think about it, over 7 years and 5 editions, right? Well, okay. Are we can we see some more work and try some
Oh,
stuff?
yeah. Sorry, I get like, let's just talk, Megan. We can just keep talking.
I know. I'm gonna make
Okay.
a lot of time and try a ton of stuff on with you.
Yeah, you gotta like keep me on track here. So
Chat.
this is, I'm gonna like move this.
Okay, how do you pick your colors? Because I feel like you are really drawn to. I'm always drawn to your. You do use other colors, I know.
I do use other colors, but I do have my favorites. I have to admit, like, you know, actually for a long time, color was very intimidating for me. And so I actually stuck with like black, white, red, and yellow ochre for most of like the first 5 years of enameling, because I was like, ooh, everything else is a little too a lot. So even now, I still defer oftentimes to those more what I think of as neutral colors, even though I know this necklace is not at all neutral. But
they're neutral, but they're like bright primary colors.
That's right. That's right. It's my version of neutral. Like, if I'm not neutral is like blue, and not neutral is like green. You know, I just have, but I have been trying to, in recent years, I do attempt to branch out some. But I also think that there is a special place in everybody's wardrobe for red jewelry. And exactly. Like, I am a very firm believer in, you need a red statement necklace, because you are going to have a little black outfit of some variety that needs one juicy, gracious, adorning necklace.
You always need a red lip. You need a red. I'm that girl. Okay, I gotta tell you, I don't make a lot of red jewelry as an artist. But
well, it's true. You are also pretty minimal on the color range as well. Like,
we are neutral McNeutral pants over here. Our colors are very rose gold, gunmetal, yellow gold, or silver.
But that, you know, what you know, your work, when it talks about line and gesture, has like this other whole like juicy element of the elements of design, right? Like, let's not get distracted with color. We're talking about a big graphic like squiggle all over your body. So, you know, I think
going on, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So, but tell me more. Okay, so try on this. I want to try on the earrings. What about the white with the yellow? Because that, I feel like that has been really interesting. I love that it feels like watercolor.
I've been trying, you know, and it's one of these earrings and this necklace were all part of like a little mini series, basically, that, you know, I really went with the white and the yellow ochre, and was just kind of letting it ride out, and seeing, you know, basically with color stories, I spend a little time with the color and work through necklaces, pendants, earrings, to really just see what does that look like, as well as when you lay them all out together, they're a family. They're talking to each other. They're, you know, you're not necessarily going to wear any of these all at the same time, because that's a lot of jewelry, but visually it feels really satisfying to me. So, you know, that.
Do people buy in sets like that? Do they buy the necklace and the earrings? Are they like necklace only? They're big earrings, big rings on. Okay, they buy those.
These tend to be like, this is the little X's, and I even make a smaller version where they're like this big. That tends to be the little riders that go with big necklaces, you know, like these guys. So that you've got something that complements going on up here, but it's not a competition of between your ears and your neck.
big.
Yeah.
I understand. I completely. I'm people. The way people think about how they're when they buy really statement work, they want to make sure they're putting the whole outfit together. So you typically do want an earring from you, but you can't do statement. So that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, and I started making those really little ones kind of with that in mind, because I don't typically wear really little earrings, but I came to realize that that was a need. And so, and another necklace that I think we've got through the jewelry edition, which is a red version of this. And I think this is one of those necklaces that I made that I think it's really hard to understand when it's not being worn and tried on, because it looks like a really big flat thing, but it's got this nice little curve to it. And again, because it is steel, it's not very heavy, and it sits like a statement necklace, but really it kind of got the wearability of a more medium-sized pendant, in terms of it not being like, you know, heavy or too overly visual in the way that it works. But like,
oh, it's not. You can totally wear jeans and t-shirt with that. It's very wearable. Okay, tell me quickly, how heavy does the steel feel? What is the texture of the enamel? It looks kind of like that orange. How does that feel on the skin? Is it smooth for people?
Okay, so the steel, it's really light. Everybody's always surprised. I think when I do shows, I spend most of the time saying, it's not as heavy as it looks, try it on. It's not as heavy as it looks, just try it on. I swear you'll be surprised. And every time that somebody goes to pick something up and they're like, oh, this isn't bad at all. And I'm like, I know. I'm telling you, just try it on. You're going to love it.
And they're all formed too. Like all of the pieces are hollow because you've
right.
Flat sheet, yes.
Yeah, like this piece is a great sort of visualization of the fact that all of the pieces are hollow, and this one kind of has like a little like clinky clunky sound that makes when you wear it, that I sort of love. Maybe not everybody does, but I do.
Do you like Louise Nevelson?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Okay. For sure.
She is a big inspiration. And yeah, this piece in particular, when you think of her work, like this has got that sort of inspiration all over it. And again, a lot of my work is also sort of architecturally and landscape inspired, so I'm really interested in that sort of built environment, built structures and rigid edges and lines. I'm not that organic in my styling, but that's okay. I do a lot with a box. A lot with a box.
Modernist version of like a barn, like things you would find hidden in a barn in some ways that have been used but are extremely stylized and modern.
yeah. I like to see if I can balance between like ever so slightly rustic and uber modern, and where can those kind of actually go back and forth and have a conversation with each other. Can it look a little bit like a barn, but also a little bit like, you know, I don't know, a contemporary art museum. I don't know. There's somewhere in there.
It looks like a painting to me. It looks like a Miro or a Matisse, like a cut paper. Like for me, a lot of times it feels like you cut paper with these really graphic designs and then built these shapes because of the color also.
Yeah, and like one like this one, this has got a matte surface to it, so it doesn't shine. Like, you know, when you're kind of looking at it, you can see it's got a certain flatness. And this is actually super sort of papery in that surface. And it's because the surface of the glass has been etched, so it's not a high gloss. It is much more like a satin paper kind of, so it's very tactile. And then, you know, and that's the other wonderful thing about enamel is you can get where it's like very, let me see if I can figure out the right angle for this.
I love
Anyways, there we go. So you can kind of see there's a number of different sort of textures happening on this piece. I don't even know if that's coming through very well, but
no. Yeah,
you know, you've got a little bit of sugary, you've got some glossy, you've got some of that satin, and so you know these are all different surfaces that are achieved through the enameling process. And again, I totally geek out on doing it and having that sort of moment in the jewelry. So
it's that beautiful transformation moment again that we were talking about. Wait, so
yeah.
show us a little bit more. Can you show us like a couple, maybe like glass and caustic? Yeah, can you show us like some new earrings? I know people, okay, the number, I took a poll before we, I'm all about the polls, you guys. So if you're listening, please participate in them because I pay attention.
Awesome. That is good. This is good information.
It really, I love surveys. If I
Oh,
be responsive, but people number one want to see earrings from you.
oh, well, that is definitely cool. I have to say though, I am running a bit low on my earring game at this particular moment. And I know someone just mentioned like glass encaustic, and it's totally like that. I love encaustic work and that sort of sense of depth and things like that. And it's definitely something that I try to achieve in the enamel as well.
Oh, I love that. This is great. Thanks, you guys. Keep it coming. These are fucking gorgeous.
So these are sweet little, like, this is a style that I've been doing for a long time. It's a little box, and basically, and it's got a hook on the back so that in the winter it won't escape your ear. It's less likely to escape. We'll put it that way. And then you've got this sort of nice dimensionality there. And yeah, these super, super light, very, very easy to wear. These are my tube earrings. And I make them in different lengths and different colors. Like these are another one, and you can see again it's hollow. And then you've got the hook on the back.
I love that design feature because it's just a little bit of safety, you know what I mean? That little, the color, the way you have it built, it's perfect amount of, it's a nice, yeah, it catches, you see the color really well.
Yeah, yeah. And I started making the hook back when I was living in Pittsburgh a million years ago. And I did it because I hated making a replacement earring, because that is sometimes one of the hardest things to do, is to get a single earring to look like another single earring, because they like, it's like the universe made a pair. Trying to remake that moment can be really tricky. So I started messing around with that style to try and get an easy latch back that I didn't have to like fuss with too much. So
both the design is nicely. I love that.
Yeah. Okay. So here's another pair of tubes. I think here's.
Oh, I love this. So you've been doing gray, red, white, yellow.
Yes. And you know, I have sort of fallen in the last year kind of back on my neutrals. I was doing more blues and things like that for a little while, but I got my favorites, and I got back in, you know, I had a baby almost 2 years ago now. When I started getting back into the studio after sort of my maternity leave, I really looked for my comfort zone as a way of like just enjoying the making process. And that meant that a lot more black, white, red, and yellow jewelry made its way out into the world. So that's the truth right there. That's honesty. I pushed boundaries, and then I had a kid, and then I was like, I just need to like be with the ones that I love, and that's red almost always. So
I think I feel like when you're a mom, especially as a new mother, you have such limited time. You have to prioritize so much. You have such little time to really, really enjoy those pieces you're making. I think there's something there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. As well as for enamels, especially liquid form enamels, when you're working in new colors, it can be, you've really got to do some trial and error and work out some kinks, and you can get some things, that batches of enamel that don't function really well. And so if you don't have a lot of time and the things that you're making aren't working, it's particularly hard. So I kind of went with some things that over the last year that I like to do.
Okay. I totally want to. Okay, I want to see more. I want to see more earrings. I want to see some brooches and some neck. I want to see some of those big necklaces, but also liquid form enamels. Is it different from powdered sifted enamels? You're actually
Yes.
painting.
Yes, I use like spatulas most of the time to apply my enamel. Like I'm not using the little sifter very often. I have brushes. I paint it on. I spray it on. When I'm doing larger pieces, I'm it's getting very sort of picturely and graphic. I'm gonna do a quick walk over to a non-jewelry piece, and I'll show you. You really get a sense of the like not sifted quality of, so you can see there's like splatters, and you know there's brush marks, and there's a lot of texture in the enamel. So that's kind of a great example of the liquid quality.
And what is this going to be? So explain, you just tell people briefly, you do non-jewelry work, and what would this be? Is this a wall piece or?
This is a wall piece, and I just have yet to hang it. And it's all steel, and it's been, I've got to redo the back here, but you can see it's all just been welded together. And I had it, and yeah, it's just, it's a wall piece. And I have downstairs in my studio like a large kiln that's much larger than this sweet little baby right here, like much, much bigger. And then you can see here I've got sifted enamels up top, and then I've got my liquid enamels down here. So
so okay, show people really quick again your studio space. We had one more request because it's so beautiful. So she has, look at this beautiful bar. So you have other set. Are you welding also, or are you having people?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm welding also. I will admit I am not a great welder. I am a functional welder, as I like to call myself. I get them to stick. I am proficient in what I need to do, but I'm not great. But I do. I have a giant kiln, and I have a welder, and I've got
Ooh.
So
that color is gorgeous. What is that?
Yeah, so this was again pre-baby feisty time, and so this one really has a nice juxtaposition of surface texture between these two, where this teal is like super, super glossy, and then you've got a really, really matte, soft gray, and this is, you know, sort of a nice it doesn't have a clasp. Neither one of these do, but yeah. So, and then this one is, again, like this is a really lovely soft gray that has a lot of depth to it. And then it's got this sweet little gold moment in there.
Yes. And that little, I like that all those pieces move, like that piece at the bottom even. That look like they feel like snaky, or?
Yeah, they have like a real bead, like a large, they're like large beads basically, you know, they're just big tubes, and then they're on a piece of silicone rubber, so it's got a little flex to us, and then yeah, it kind of has a nice tightness between the beads, like they're not loose. And then there's my, Tamara, you asked, there's my swinging saloon doors that, you know,
love it. I love it.
And then yeah, so here's my little like bar space. So that's the tour.
Do you do all the, when you're doing the bigger pieces, how big is the kiln to do that? Because you have to do, you welded it and then enameled all that huge red piece?
Yeah, and that actually didn't even go in my really big kiln. That went in my medium big kiln. I have 3 kilns, and one has an interior size that's about like this, and then I have a big one where it's like, you know, big, about 32 inches by 28 inches by 16 inches on the interior. So I could do, I've done some large scale outdoor sculptures with that large kiln. It was a very big bear to move though.
Okay, because I saw you had done some pieces that were outdoor. People like, do people do a lot of private commissions for their home?
Yeah, I've done where I will do a commission for a wall piece, or sometimes it's been where it's multiple parts to a wall piece installation. And then I've done where not necessarily a commission, but sort of my own volition, I guess, and then gotten installed into public spaces. Some larger pieces that are different parts. So I make the parts as big as I can do into the big kiln, and then they're all welded together afterwards or put together through various cold connection methods. And so, sort of pushing the boundaries of what enamel can be and can do. So
Cool.
yeah.
I love that. Okay, so because we have like 9 minutes, I want to match
Okay.
a little bit more brooch and necklace time and some earring time. Ooh.
Okay, I have to say, break my heart, I have no brooches right now, but I have other. So this is part of a series that I did, and I just got this back from the Fuller exhibition Gold.
Oh, the gold is gorgeous. Explain, how did you get that effect?
So these pieces are done with enamel decals, and so on top of the enamel, I then get a custom printed image that usually I'm using like old archival images of oil wells. I did a whole collection called Oil and Water, and it was really talking and thinking through this sort of historical context of the oil industry in Texas. And I was getting these images printed.
That color.
I know, right? Yeah. And then I'd enameled them onto the surface, so they're actually fused into the glass, and then I can enamel over the top of them with additional colorations and stuff. So this is actually the only cuff I've ever made. It was a sort of a test drive for this style.
Wait, how does it feel? Because I think that would be great with the steel, and because you're saying that the enamel's a lot stronger, that'd be perfect, right?
Yeah, and it does. It works really well. And I've been meaning. I made this sort of late in the game, 2019, and it was like, okay, I want to follow up on this. And this is one of those things that's kind of been like sitting in the percolation mode for a little while in terms of like doing these cuts, because it is a great surface to work on, right? And it's got an interior and exterior, and it's fully covered in the enamel, so it's got this cool, cold feel to it, but it's very it's very durable, it's very rigid, and it's one of those cuffs that you're not going to flex it or anything like that, so obviously that would mess up the enamel. But if it's sized correctly, you've got a pretty sweet cuff situation going on. So
perfect plane to paint on too in a lot of ways. This is like a simple reproducible blank that is, like, a lot of people know, but I feel like you could really make yours. And that one is like that's really nice. It looks good. The colors look really good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that one, that's part of that oil and water series that I've been sort of, as a departure from my more graphic pieces over the last few years, these are much more sort of narrative in their quality. And so, yeah.
Was that a prompt? Was that something that you did for an exhibition or for?
This one was for an exhibition, yes, and thinking through sort of the oil and water, and I had certain images that I'd found through the archival research that I was doing that I really wanted to use in this feeling of sort of sometimes these images are on postcards, and they're like this celebratory moment of this on fire oil well, and it's this just very weird juxtaposition of that time, right? Like now we're like, that's crazy, also that's horrible. So it's work that I've kind of, when I need a break from the more formal stuff, it's getting in there and checking out this narrative quality that those pieces in particular have. So yeah, and let's see. I have, what else do I have?
Any necklaces, earrings? Do you do rings?
I occasionally do rings. And they're great cocktail rings. Again, like with the cuff, there's a nice durability to them. And they're just, I typically actually prefer to take custom orders for them because they are, so specifically sized. I think the thing about bracelets in general and rings that drive me nuts is like there's the Goldilocks syndrome, and and which is both a great and a terrible thing, right?
I am totally I am you, because I don't do rings, and I hardly do same, because it's such a this is such a so subjective and so personal.
Yes.
Different for everybody.
Yeah, I am totally happy to make a custom ring, and I've definitely made some really great custom bracelets along the way, but generally I'm like, when I just like make them out in the world, I feel like they stay like making the circle for such a long time, because they're just waiting for that one person to put it on and go, aha! But so I kind of go for different earrings, necklaces. They always fit. COVID 20, COVID not 20, like they always fit.
Guys, here up and right?
Yeah, totally.
The big, I love. Do you have any super big necklaces? You have some that I feel like are almost like breastplates.
I don't have any of those right now. I am gonna grab one other thing. Let me go grab it right here.
Okay, cool. And then, okay, I've tried on multiples from Kat, and they over different body types, because she does the backs like she does the rings, so they kind of lay like little topographical maps over different body types.
Yeah, it's funny. Most of those pieces are still kind of like out in the world. Which is great, totally great. And yeah, I haven't had a chance to make one of those recently. So here's one of the other recent like babies to come home from an exhibition. And again, this one has the like lovely clinky clanky quality that some of these more statement necklaces have. And I do like a custom chain for it, which is all just like sterling silver. And then you can see the back and the front. And again, this was sort of part of like a high color collection that I was making pretty.
I feel this is so painterly the way. This feels like totems that you're carrying around, but that little bit of blue is gorgeous. Also, who am I thinking of? Rausch? Who is this? Rausch? Who is the you? Okay.
Rauschenberg.
Yes.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Or Rocco maybe too.
Yes. Rocco.
Yeah.
That yellow.
So I'm always taking pictures, but yes, this is the picture. This is the piece, and this is definitely like right, like in line with.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. I love that, because that one in the middle with the yellow with the orange, but with the blue below it is perfect.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes with these guys, there's, they get worn, but there is such a sculptural quality to them that they also live rich lives, just like hanging on the wall, being these objects in space. And
do you have any mounts for the wall for people to use these almost like wall pieces? I feel like some of them
do.
Are great.
I do. I make mounts for typically for them. Sometimes when they're full steel, it's really easy to make the mount because all I have to do is use magnets and stick it on there. That's the other reason why working with steel is an amazing display moment, because I don't have to like fiddle with a lot of things. I just like, right, exactly. Your display is the same way. Like, it's an amazing cheat, honestly.
Yes, I swear, because everything is a magnet.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everything in your world that you don't even know is magnetic properties. It's awesome.
It is.
I love it.
It is. And you know what? When I have work where I can't magnetize it in, and I have to like make some sort of wire armature mounting thing, I'm like, oh man, like I just want to get a magnet on this. It's just fun. I use them too sometimes. I don't know how often you use your magnetic class too, right?
Everything, because it's what I started with, and that's.
Oh yeah, the tiny sweet little guy, just enough. Nobody has to fiddle with it. So easy, easy, right?
Aluminium rare earth magnet. It was one of those simple things, for my mom has like busted thumbs for a long time, so she had a really hard time. So this was one of the things I made for her.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, you know, when you're helping someone try on jewelry, I do the same thing with the class that I do. So this is my little class.
Love that.
And that way it's easy. Like
I love
you
how
don't have to like worry about not being able to get your fingers around it or do like a tiny little lobster movement. You know, it's just
but it's
difficult.
secure too. It's gorgeous and secure. I feel like everything you do has an elongated feel.
Well, you and I have met enough in person that you know exactly how tall I have an innate, you know.
Well, but I love it because like your exos are elongated, your clasp
Yeah.
is elongated. Every link has that feel.
Yeah. It's totally true, Megan. It's totally true. I'm putting tall into everything that I do. You know, being pretty much almost 6 feet tall, I think I can't help but do that. And I also make all of my pin stems on my brooches left-handed because I'm left-handed, and it's a little bit of like a aha.
I know you and my mother, same, you guys. Okay, we have like 1 minute. Show us one more piece and we'll sign off.
Okay, one more piece. Okay, I'm gonna go with just a quick little funky pair of earrings that I made earlier this spring that look like little dinosaur Easter eggs, and they were just quick and fun. They're really, really thin steel made out of actually whiteboard. So if you get a high quality whiteboard, that is enamel on steel, guys. Fun fact. And it also makes for really great, so when I teach workshops, which I do a lot, I use this material to get people started enameling on steel without all of the difficulties of getting it to stick. So I've been using whiteboard as a teaching material for a long time, and finally I was like, ooh, maybe this would be fun, like earring. It's quick, it's easy. I just like solder a little post on there, and then like bam, I get these earrings. So I had a bunch of these when Jewelry Edition went to the ECU symposium this spring. I think I'm probably going to be making some more of them, and I'll release them through Jewelry Edition. And they're just like all one-of-a-kind, funky little, like, you know, big, fun, silly earrings.
I love them. They're light, they're fun. They're like a graphic canvas for you to totally play with. They're gorgeous. Oh,
Yeah,
Kat,
yeah.
beautiful. Thank you so much. I super appreciate it. Until next week, you guys, we're going to be checking with Laura.
Yay! I cannot wait to see Laura and see her tour of hopefully her totally pimped out new space.
Congratulations on moving in. Congratulations on all the new things. I'm excited to see what happens for holiday, you guys. Amazing. I'm really looking forward to what you guys are doing with Ombre Gallery. I'm a big fan as well. So
yeah.
Until next time, we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you for everybody coming.
Bye.